Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Rines Report here in Radio Free Radford studio. I'm joined here by Terrence Schoefield once again. We got 3 shows remaining, Terrence.
3 shows.
3 Rines Reports left, at least.
It's crazy.
You got something in your hair, buddy. Here, let me help you out here because it's a little bug. Ugh. That's gross. Anyway, we got 3 shows remaining. Then we got to walk across the stage, man.
It's crazy.
Yeah, you ready? You nervous?
Yeah, I'm nervous. It's sort of. I'm nervous, scared at the same time. I don't really know how to really feel it, but I'm excited too. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, it's just hard.
It's kind of inevitable at this point. The only thing you can actively do to prolong it is to just dumpster fire all your classes.
Yeah,
which we're not doing. We're good students.
No, we're not doing that. Can't do that.
Can't do it. But like I said, 3 shows remaining, man. Then we got to walk across stage on a pretty. Hopefully, it's not going to be too hot.
Yeah, I hope it's like.
I hope it doesn't rain either.
It can't rain.
It better not.
Knock on wood on that one. You know what I'm saying?
That's right. But we walk across the stage on May 11th on a Saturday, and we get a certificate that says we can do a thing.
Right.
That's essentially what we do. We paid thousands upon thousands of dollars to get the certification to show other people that, hey, like in my case, I can do journalism. Mm-hmm. I can do communications. And it's like, okay, yeah, that's cool. Now, there are 1,500 other people that also did that coming out of your school, so figure it out.
What's different about you?
Exactly. Well, we got experience, buddy. Yeah. We got experience doing this.
Yeah.
A little bit extra. Show some commitment.
True.
Later on today, though, we will be at Cold Stone Creamery, so stay tuned to the Radio Free Radford Facebook page. Thanks for the likes, Dustin. Stay tuned to the Radio Free Radford Facebook page. Give them a like. We'll be live from Cold Stone Creamery on their Tyler Avenue location here in Radford. So more details will be coming as we find them out. It's a little bit wet today. If weather could be implicating a few things, but we will keep you posted on that. We got plenty to talk about today, huh?
Yes, sir.
You excited?
Yeah.
Are you a little upset by a few things?
Yeah.
Yeah, but excited?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, at the same time.
So we got plenty to talk about, like I said, number of topics today. It felt in a weird way like a slow week, and then I started going through my notes and started typing them out. I'm like, oh man, there's plenty to talk about today. So, but let's start off with the NFL draft. This is a predominantly NFL kind of show. So let's start off with the NFL draft, April 25th to the 27th, if I'm not mistaken, in Nashville, Tennessee. I wanted to start off with team needs for the AFC. So we're going to run through each division, each team, and just kind of, if you have some ideas of prospects that could land there, something like that, shout them out. Also, feel free to be a part of the conversation on Facebook Live. We're streaming live to the Rines Report Facebook page. Later on, it'll be posted up on the Radio Free Radford Facebook page as well. But give me some attention on social media. I always appreciate that.
Yeah,
a little bit of attention. But you also post live regularly from your show as well, right?
From both. Yeah.
That's right, T-Sco Sports, man.
Yes, sir.
Every Monday at 11 a.m.
Yes, sir.
So let's start off with the AFC East. We'll start off with the defending champs, just because I'm a Patriots fan, whatever, but they're part of the AFC.
I just picked up the tight end from the Jaguars, I think.
Yeah, Austin Seferian-Jenkins. Last time I heard, they were talking to Demaryius Thomas on coming to New England. So I wouldn't be opposed to it. He's coming off an ACL. He'd be a little cheaper. But the New England Patriots, I would say, are probably one of the most wide receiver needy teams in football at the moment.
Yeah.
Because there's no Gronk anymore, and your best option is Julian Edelman. Chris Hogan's out the door. I don't think they're going to re-sign him. They re-signed Philip Dorsett on a 1 or 2 year deal, something small.
Speedy receiver.
They got Braxton Berrios, but they don't have that legitimate outside threat. Obviously, Josh Gordon, we have no idea if that man's ever going to play football again. New England needs a wide receiver. They could use some more depth at the defensive tackle position, and they need that tight end.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
Definitely. You don't think the tight end that y'all just signed is going to be?
I think Seferian-Jenkins is solid. He came out of Washington. He was a first-round pick. I liked him coming out of college, but I wouldn't say he's developed into one of these superstar NFL players. You know what I mean? Which is kind of hard to achieve, but even still, he's not. He's good. He's a good receiving option, but I wouldn't say he's
Tom Brady.
He's not a long-term fix at that position.
Tom Brady could get him right though.
Oh, yeah. It's not impossible to see. The New York Jets. I think they need an edge rusher. Mm-hmm. Some offensive line help. You got to secure Sam Darnold, get him a little more comfortable in that pocket, and they need another cornerback.
Okay.
Because you got Jamal Adams sitting back there at the safety position.
And he's a bad man.
He's a bad man. I like Jamal Adams. Except when he... did you see the stuff at the Pro Bowl?
I didn't.
When he tackled the Patriot mascot.
Oh yeah,
he sent the dude to the hospital. Yeah, he was like, "Oh, watch this guy." He's like talking to some fans or whatever. And he like ran over and like blindsided the Patriots
and sent him to the hospital.
Yeah, it wasn't like he didn't like destroy the dude, but at some like point you're in a costume with this big old head thing on.
He had to pay for something. He had to pay for that.
I have no idea beyond just that, but it was a little immature. But even still, Jamal Adams is a bad man. Yeah. They got Leonard Williams on the defensive line. Stephen McClendon.
Did he just win Rookie of the Year, or was it the dude from
Leonard Williams has been in the league for a few years now.
No, not Leonard Williams. I'm thinking the dude from Indianapolis.
Oh, you're thinking of Darius Leonard.
Yeah.
Oh, he's a beast too.
Yeah.
We'll get to Indianapolis a little bit later. But I think the Jets need a little bit more help. You just got to get Sam Darnold some more weapons to play with. Mm-hmm. I think he has the potential to be pretty good this season, second year.
We'll see. I mean, they got Le'Veon.
They did get Le'Veon, so they don't need a running back anymore, presumably, as long as he stays healthy, of course, or is able to stay on the field. A little bit of history, but let's move on to Buffalo. So Josh Allen didn't really have a great season for a rookie, but when I watch him, I saw some highlights and promise that the potential is there for him to be really good at some point. I'm not saying he's like MVP caliber, but pretty steady, good quarterback, right? They need a wide receiver.
Yeah, they must.
Because those boys cannot catch the heat that Josh Allen's throwing. They just can't do it. He's got a gunsling. Oh my God, he's got a cannon. Mm-hmm. But I was watching a video not too long ago of all the every play where a wide receiver dropped a pass from Josh Allen, just straight up dropped it in some capacity or another. Not like the cornerback was draped over him, just dropped. It was like 6.5 minutes long. A receiver's just dropping passes. So the man needs a receiver. They went out and signed Frank Gore to pair with Shady McCoy, so some veteran running back presence. I don't think it's a bad move. So you got a decent backfield to work with. Balil Powell, I believe, is still there too. Or no, did he go back to the Jets? I can't remember. They need another cornerback to opposite Tre'Davious White. They actually have a pretty solid secondary. They got Micah Hyde back there as well. I think if you get another corner, you're bolstering the defense you have already set up. It makes it harder in the passing league now to just pass it even more.
And that was pretty good. And maybe 2 years ago when they first had
who?
The Bills.
Oh yeah, what about?
No, I'm saying they were pretty good. When
they had Tyrod and their defense.
Their defense was really good. They just couldn't get it done on offense.
Mm-hmm. And then they need another defensive lineman. Mm-hmm. I would say you just let Kyle Williams just retired.
Right.
Long-time Buffalo Bill. Took him to the playoffs one time. Yeah. Lost their first game, but long-time veteran of that team. He's gone though. It's a big presence you have to fill. You got to replace. Buffalo, I could see them looking for a defensive lineman, defensive tackle to be a little more precise. And round out the AFC East, Miami needs a quarterback, a wide receiver, and an offensive line.
An offensive line, not just one tackle or just
offensive
the
line.
Whole line.
There's some work that could be done on that offensive line in general that needs to probably be done.
They could be the #1 pick next year.
They could, dude. They might be tanking for Tua. I would not be surprised if Miami's tanking for Tua. They got Brian Flores and they got some Patriot staff out there.
What's the dude from
Trevor Lawrence? There's something about Trevor Lawrence. He's good, super talented.
I hear the butt.
Dude, there's something about Trevor Lawrence that I look at his face though, and I'm like, he just rubs me the wrong way as a person. I'm sure he's probably a decent guy in general, but every time I've ever seen him doing media or something like that, it's just he has that stereotypical look to me of the jock in high school. That's
it's because he got the long hair.
It's the long hair.
That's what it is.
I have nothing against him as a person, but every time I see he's sunshine. Every time I see him though, man, it's this guy looks like he was just the worst growing up. Because he's super talented, though, then gets whatever he wants. But Miami needs a quarterback. They need a wide receiver. They need an offensive lineman. Devontae Parker, I think he's still in the market. They got Kenny Stills, who's good. Mm-hmm. They got, who the quarterback is? Because they traded Ryan Tannehill
to the Titans.
They got Ryan Fitzmagic starting at quarterback for him coming into next year.
I've seen that, but I forgot all about it.
He had a handful of games this past season. If you're an avid NFL fan, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. He had some great games with the Bucs.
Great games, the first 5 games.
Yeah,
they were saying he was going to be MVP.
Yeah, he was on an MVP track pretty early on in the season, and then it just quickly went downhill, and the Bucs stopped playing games on TV because nobody cares about Tampa Bay.
Right.
Nobody does. But they got a good coaching hire. They got Todd Bowles as defensive coordinator, and they got Bruce Arians. Dude, they're going to be pretty... I think they're on the up and up. They're a sleeper team to me. But they got Ryan Fitzpatrick. Devontae Parker, I believe, is a free agent, or I have no idea exactly the full roster for Miami. But Kenny Stills is good, but you need some more receiving options, especially if you're tanking to go get Tua.
Right.
you're going to want him to come in with some good receiving options.
Right.
So, that's right. Let's move on to the AFC West. Kansas City, they need a running back. I think they need that definite running back. Obviously, Kareem Hunt getting into all that trouble. He's out in Cleveland now, serving an 8-game suspension. He will start the season with an 8-game suspension. With a 6-game minimum, they tacked on 2 more. They need a running back. Davey Williams looked okay as a pretty solid fill-in for them going into the playoffs, but you need to have somebody else sitting behind the line with Patrick Mahomes. You got to have that running threat. Yeah. And it's really hard to replace the guy who's as talented as Kareem Hunt. I understand that.
They're not going to replace that. That's not happening.
Yeah. They also need some overall defense needs some help.
Yeah.
But let's start here. Defensive line, you're going to want to have some interior push to stop the run and also get at the quarterback. You think they could sign on Ndamukong Suh? We'll get to the Ndamukong Suh a little bit later. We're going to talk about free agents a little bit later in the show. I wouldn't be that surprised if that happened. Yeah, that seems like a decent move. Huh? Oh yeah. I mean, I'd be hyped about it.
I'm getting a little ahead of
little ahead of the show. It's okay though. We'll get around to it a little bit later. And I also think they need a cornerback.
Okay.
They went out and got Tyrann Mathieu. I thought that was a really good pickup, but they traded away D Ford.
Yeah.
To San Fran, and they traded away Justin Houston. So that secondary, without those prominent edge rushers, without that defensive push, besides Chris Jones on the defensive line, they are gonna need help. I mean, even as a Patriots fan, I saw if you don't have a good pass rush, your secondary, no matter how talented they are, is gonna get exposed time and time again.
You get tired.
So the better the defense gets for Kansas City, I think the better of an overall team they become.
Most definitely.
The LA Chargers. Tight end, quarterback, safety. The Chargers have one of the most complete rosters in football. And it's perplexing.
Can't get it done.
Exactly. So I think they need to get another tight end. Antonio Gates is a little older. I mean, they got Hunter Henry coming back, but you get another receiving option, just a general threat for Phillip Rivers. I think it always helps. Another quarterback just to back him up in case something happens. Because Phillip Rivers is the face of the franchise for forever, but he's getting a little up there. He's like 37 years old, I believe, 38 years old. Getting a little up there. Start training the next guy. Yeah. So I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if the Chargers get a quarterback day 2 in the draft. And then safety. You got Derwin James out of Florida State, who for some reason fell down to, the 11th pick or something to them? Mm-hmm. He's a beast. He was in the running for the Defensive Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, sure was.
Made a ton of plays for the Chargers. Was probably their best defensive player in general, outside of maybe Nick Bosa.
Outside of
Joey Bosa, excuse me.
Joey, yeah.
Well, we'll get to Nick. He's a beast. But the Chargers, I feel like they have a really complete roster. They don't need a ton of players. I mean, they got a good secondary with King, and they got Casey Hayward. That's a good 1-2 cornerback punch. You got Derwin James. If you want to, just complete the whole secondary. Mm-hmm. And maybe work on a linebacking corps a little bit. I still like Perriman.
Yeah, I can agree with you on that.
Yeah, I mean overall, there's some small tweaks you can have on the defense.
I don't know. It's just something about the Chargers for me. It's like they're the team that just. They look so good in the regular season.
Yeah. No, on paper, they have one of the best rosters in football. It makes no sense that they are so... they lose out first 2 rounds every year. Phillip Rivers has never beaten the Patriots.
Ever.
Once. So, I'm just going to note that. Denver, they need some general help. I wouldn't say almost everywhere, but just about everywhere. Mm-hmm. They could use a number 3 receiver. They could probably use a tight end.
Who are the 3 receivers?
Well, they got Cortland Sutton out of SMU, who's like a big 6'4", body up type receiver. They still got Emmanuel Sanders. Demaryius Thomas was traded last season. Right. At one point, they had all 3 of them. But Cortland Sutton looks like he's going to be a really good number 2 opposite of Sanders. I liked him coming out of SMU. Running back, you got Phillip Lindsay.
Yeah.
And then at tight end, I don't know if they have anybody remarkable. I know the Patriots signed one of their tight ends, Lacasse or something like that.
Okay.
Excuse me. Offensive line help. You have Joe Flacco sitting back there at the quarterback position. If you want him to throw more than a 5-yard slant every play, you're going to need some offensive line help.
Because he can't move.
No, he's got cinder blocks for feet, just like Eli Manning. There's no way you're getting that man to run out the pocket.
No way.
Let's see here. Defensive line. You already have 2 great edge rushers. Bradley Chubb, beast coming off of one edge. Mm-hmm. Another defensive player of the year, rookie of the year candidate. I believe I think Bradley Chubb won it. I want to make sure. I don't want to say something incorrect. I think Darius Leonard might have won it, but I'm pretty sure Okay, no, he was really close, though. He was like the runner-up. Anyway, they have 2 talented edge rushers, though. Bradley Chubb had 13 sacks last season. You got Von Miller on the other side of the field.
Right.
If you build that defensive line from the ground up, your pass rush defense will help bolster that secondary's confidence. You got Chris Harris Jr. back there. I mean, come on. They can scoot. They can play. I think Denver overall has some potential to be better this season. But I don't think they're not going to the playoffs.
No, they're not.
They're not a playoff team unless they have a marvelous draft and somehow it all just comes together for them.
Comes in and just goes crazy for them, and just gives them the opportunity that wasn't even available.
And then last in the AFC West, we got Oakland. So the offensive line, edge rush, and defensive line. So their offensive line on paper you wouldn't think is that bad. They got Trent Brown. They signed him to a ridiculously high monster contract.
Yeah.
Highest paid offensive lineman in the NFL. You got Rodney Hudson, really good center. But everywhere else on that offensive line, I feel like you could improve. They traded away Kelechi Assembly to open up cap space. You go and fill another guard position that you just vacated, essentially. This isn't a very heavy offensive line draft. You build up that offensive line, give Derek Carr some more time to throw the ball to AB and Tyrell Williams. Yeah. You got something to work with. Defensive line and edge in general, they couldn't stop a nosebleed on the defensive line last year, if I'm not mistaken. You traded away probably one of the best pass rushers in football, Khalil Mack to the Bears. We saw how good he was with Chicago. We knew how good he was in Oakland. Mm-hmm. So you got to go out and get that next edge guy.
You have to.
Mm-hmm. Especially in that division where there's so many talented quarterbacks.
That's what they should draft.
Just draft all defensive line this entire draft.
Not the whole draft, but the first pick.
I mean, they got 3 first-round picks
the first
in
pick
general.
The first pick should be an edge rusher.
I mean, it's a very heavy
first pick.
It's a heavy defensive draft. I would not be surprised if they go out and get a defensive lineman. Let's move on to the AFC North. Baltimore. They won the division last year, so we'll start with Baltimore. They can't throw the ball this year. And I don't think it's surprising anybody. I don't think that...
So they can't?
They're not going to be able to throw the ball this year. Lamar Jackson is probably one of the most inaccurate quarterbacks in football. Super talented athlete. Super athletic. But he's not a very consistent passer by any means. And has huge problems holding on to the football. I think you can train those things at the NFL level. Okay,
definitely.
A little more pocket presence, hold the ball more, you don't fumble as much. But I'm pretty sure during the game stretches, like where he was starting versus when Joe Flacco was starting, he had 5 or 6 turnovers in 3 games. So it's not good.
Yeah, that's not.
But their biggest issue is they need some more receivers. The only receiver I can think of off the top of my head on that roster is Willie Snead.
Exactly. They have to draft this year.
They're going to need some receivers. I could see them creeping up a little bit, taking somebody a little higher than they need to at their draft spot. But Baltimore needs a receiver. Spot? They're in the 20s.
Okay.
But they need a receiver. They need an edge rush. They lost to Darius Smith, Terrell Suggs, a free agency. And the offensive line, you just want to get a little more depth. Their offensive line isn't actually that bad in general. They've had a few games where they, not that good. But their offensive line's getting better. I think Marshall Yanda is getting up there in age. He's 34 years old. You just get somebody to sit behind him, learn a little bit, maybe start some games in his place, just to learn from that standpoint, get ahead of it. So you could probably take somebody day 2, day 3, and just have them learn behind Marshall Yanda. Pittsburgh. I think they need a receiver. Because I couldn't tell you outside of Juju Smith-Schuster who's on that roster.
Me either.
They need a receiver. They need a cornerback, and they need a safety. Joe Hayden's not bad, but I think they have Cody Sensabaugh, who's okay, but there were times last year when I was watching some Steelers highlights that it looked like he wasn't as competent on the other side.
Edmonds brother's going to turn out. Yeah.
Huh? Oh, Edmonds? Oh, Tremaine Edmonds? I think you need somebody opposite of him. Mike Davis is all right, but you could probably try to find somebody a little bit better. Or you just have somebody to rotate in and out there. The linebacking core is pretty solid. Their defensive line's pretty solid.
Yeah,
I would just say in general they just need another receiver and some more defensive backs.
Yeah.
You just keep it's a passing league.
Right.
So you need somebody to throw to, you need somebody to stop somebody from throwing it. You know what I mean? Cleveland, offensive line, cornerback, and safety. Because they traded away Jabril Peppers and they traded away Kevin Zeitler to go get Odell Beckham and Olivier Vernon. So their defense got a little better on the front 7. where their defense is essentially Denzel Ward in the secondary, and who's the other guy? Demarius Randall.
But Denzel
Ward looks like the truth.
Yeah.
I like Denzel Ward. He was another Defensive Rookie of the Year candidate. Mm-hmm. A lot of talented guys out of Ohio State.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. Today, all they need is what you said, a safety and.
They need a safety, offensive line, and a cornerback.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
I think you just need to keep building an offensive line. You want to keep Baker healthy.
Yeah, most definitely.
You don't want him getting, ghosts in the pocket, making him nervous. So, and then you get another corner, just for more depth. Is Demarius Randall? I think he's a safety, right?
I think so.
Yeah. So you want a safety opposite of him. You want a cornerback opposite Denzel Ward. Then finally, the most I wouldn't even say under. The most mediocre and boring team in football, the Cincinnati Bengals. They're the most forgettable team in football.
Yeah.
They are. Because if you go through, let me name all the football teams off the top of my head, and you start going through the teams, like, who did I forget? And most of the time, it's like the Cincinnati Bengals, the Arizona Cardinals, or, I don't know, like the Minnesota Vikings or something.
Yeah.
You forget about those teams the easiest. Buffalo Bills, you forget about them too.
Most definitely Buffalo.
Because they're, like, Cincinnati's in this weird state, and I've been saying this for like a couple of years. Cincinnati exists in this weird state of 8-8 consistently, where it's like, okay, they're a football team, but like they're not doing anything that's spectacular, but they're not doing anything that's so bad that you can't stop talking about it.
Right.
Cincinnati exists in perennial limbo, but they finally got a new head coach, and he needed to make some changes. So I'm Cincinnati. I'm going out to get a new linebacker. The linebacking core could have a little bit more work done. You just lost Vontez Burfict. Tight end, what was his name? Tyler Eifert had a nasty ankle injury last year.
Yeah, he did.
Nasty ankle injury. So you go out, you got to get another tight end. You have to do that. And then at running back, you just get some more depth. I'd also venture to say you get another quarterback because Andy Dalton is a little overpaid and
he's not
underwhelming in general. So get another quarterback. And then we're finally going to round it out with the AFC South. Houston needs an offensive line.
Yeah.
And I mean a whole offensive line because Deshaun Watson has been taking hits like it's no one's business.
Ridiculous.
Deshaun Watson walks into spring practice and essentially just walks into the ice bath because he's like, I'm just going to need to start recovering before I can get out in the field. They need another wide receiver opposite of DeAndre Hopkins. D-Hop is so nasty.
Top 3 receiver?
Yes, for sure. I mean, it's arguable. You could say he was probably the best receiver last year. He didn't drop a pass. As long as it hit him in the hands, he didn't drop it. 115 catches last year. And then they need a safety. I liked Eric Reed, but they lost Tyrann Mathieu, so you just go out and you get somebody else.
That was weird for me. I guess I thought he would have stayed there, honestly.
Who, Tyrann Mathieu?
Yeah, but Kansas isn't a bad trip either. So.
No, it's not. He hasn't really gone anywhere that's bad. Like at the moments where Tyrann Mathieu was on their roster, the Cardinals were good. The Texans were a playoff team.
I'm waiting for Patrick Peterson. What's going to happen there?
He's gonna stay. He didn't want to leave.
So.
Yeah, I don't think he leaves unless they trade him for something. And Indianapolis. Defensive line, linebacker, cornerback. You just add some more depth all across the defense. Mm-hmm. There's nothing wrong there. The offense looks pretty good. The offensive line is ridiculously talented.
Right.
I love Big Q. Big Q is Quentin Nelson until proven otherwise. He is taking Quentin Williams' lunch money any day of the week. I bet you that. I'd put money on it. Quentin Williams is good, but I'm taking Quentin Nelson all day.
Good day.
He's a beast. Tennessee needs a linebacker. They lost Brian Arakpo. Essentially they need work on the defensive side of the football too. You just keep adding to that depth. They got Logan Ryan and Dory Jackson. At their safety position, they got Kenny Vaccaro. Just a little more depth in general in the secondary, linebacking, defensive line. And finally, wide receivers for Jacksonville. Because you got Nick Foles. I mean, they don't have bad receivers, but they need somebody that's going to be distinguishably the guy in Jacksonville. You get a safety. Barry Church is gone. Tashawn Gibson's gone. You need a new safety. And offensive line, just keep Nick protected. So that's going to round out our first 25 minutes of the show. I ran a little bit long there. My apologies if you guys got a little bored. But we'll be back in about 30 seconds. We're going to cover some Antonio Brown versus Juju Smith-Schuster.
Mm-hmm. I'm ready to get into that one.
You ready to get in that one? All right, stick around, guys. We'll be back in 30 seconds.
We're back and better than ever. Radio Free Radford.
Ready? Realize what I'm about to say.
Come on! Go! Playing what you want to hear. RFR.
I am Ellie Golding.
Everybody, this
This is Natalie Laro.
Hey, what's up? It's Brianna.
What up, y'all? This is Jeremiah.
Radford's new choice of music. RadioFreeRadford.com.
Feels like I don't.
Welcome back into the studio here. This is Tristan Rines here with Terrence Schoefield of Radio Free Radford. Tell them about your show, Terrence.
Well, T-Sco Sports Report every Monday at 11. Tune in. Talk about the NBA. When March Madness is over now, must definitely talk about a little bit of NFL. A little bit of baseball here and there. But tune in every Monday at 11. And I'll listen and I'll give you a little bit of info.
That's right. So, Antonio Brown versus Juju Smith-Schuster. It was one of the more wild things that was just happening. It's been a little bit of a slow stint here with the NFL at the moment, but this is kind of stupid. But let's talk about it because it's NFL related. We're missing the NFL. Football season's too far away. Antonio Brown versus Juju Smith-Schuster. I can no longer tolerate Antonio Brown's antics off the field. I'm just gonna say that really quickly. For a while, I was like, you know what? Maybe this, maybe that.
Right.
You know, maybe I'll take this person's side. The last time we talked about Antonio Brown, I was taking the other person's side. On the field, probably one of the best wide receivers to ever play. Off the field, this man is the most petty human being I think I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
Because you've seen the setup for it, right? So, if you haven't seen this, essentially the Steelers named Juju Smith-Schuster the MVP of the team for the 2018 season. To which Antonio Brown was sent that. And then responded to it saying, "This man fumbled away the season, and y'all naming him the MVP." I'm generalizing it, but essentially that's what he said. Yeah. And nothing kind was said about this.
Right. Nothing at all.
So after this, Juju was publicly announced. Yeah, blah blah. Let's see. Juju was essentially "Yo, all I ever did was show you love
and respect,
and you're going out here bad mouthing me." Because you got some bad blood in Steelers organization, but you're taking it on me.
Yeah, it's all love here.
Exactly, and that's all. It's all Juju ever did. And then at one point, Antonio Brown posted a conversation, not even that Juju Smith-Schuster sent him, and was like, "Hey, yo, this is when he was at USC. So he's like, hey, I'm a receiver at Southern Cal, and I look up to you. I think you're a really good receiver. I was just wondering if you could throw me some tips or tricks, maybe help me separate my game, make my game a little better."
That's genuine. That's like
that's all. This dude's all he's done.
Magic.
Exactly. That's all he's ever done.
So why even post that?
Exactly.
I never understood. I
don't get it. And essentially, he was like, "Oh man, you make these mistakes. He's a young player. Blah blah." It's like, okay, you said because he's a young player, he's making these mistakes, he shouldn't be the MVP. Okay, so I saw a thread on Twitter that actually made me smile after seeing all this. Somebody essentially took a bunch of clips of him messing up when he was younger as a receiver for the Steelers and threw them all in a thread. It's like, hey, you remember the time when you stepped out of bounds on this passing play after you caught the ball running towards the end zone that would have sent us to the playoffs? Or do you remember the time that you fumbled versus the Raiders and we lost the game and that perennially put us out of the playoffs that year too? And all this stuff and blah, blah. It was a long
I hope did he see? I wanted did he see it?
I hope he did. But essentially, people were like, Antonio Brown, you have nothing. You're standing on a hill that's has a foundation of sand, essentially. It doesn't exist. So, I think that, I like Juju Smith-Schuster a little more now. But who would you rather have in fantasy going into next season, though? Antonio Brown or Juju Smith-Schuster?
You know who I'm telling you.
Antonio Brown.
Yeah, all day.
No matter how.
I just don't like you said, I just don't like him as a person.
Oh, no. But all that matters to me is winning in fantasy.
Yeah, that's it.
But essentially, Antonio Brown's just being super petty. He's making Juju look better, honestly. And I think, but I will say, before all this really started, Juju Smith-Schuster had posted something around the time that Antonio Brown got traded. But he was publicly saying things like, I really, good for you, go get your money, blah, blah. You got traded, good for you, that's what you wanted.
He gave him...
Yeah, essentially. And then Juju had posted some picture of him doing the toe tap against the Raiders earlier this past season. It was something along those lines, but it intentionally had Antonio Brown in the background with the Raider and blah blah. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. It could have been something stemming from that. Nothing really connecting.
But they all just need to grow up. To me, honestly. Well, AB needs to grow up. Honestly.
Well, Antonio Brown finally gets everything he wants, and he can't get the Steelers out of his mind, man. I'm pretty tired of it. It's unnecessary. Just please, I hate saying this because there's so many things you could apply it to where it's oh, but you said it this time, but not this time. But in this case, legitimately, just play football.
Yeah, that's it. That's
please.
All I need for you to do. Stop talking.
I don't care if you're posting training videos of you lifting, 60-pound weights and your chest is, you think it's big, but it's whatever. It's just a chest. But you're a great receiver, and you do amazing things. But please just play football, man. I don't care
about the social media antics.
I don't, but he keeps doing it. You finally got everything you wanted, Antonio Brown.
Paid.
It's no longer time for you to be petty. That's essentially where I'm at.
You wanted to get traded. You got traded.
You got paid.
You got paid. What else do you want?
Yeah. You got out of the situation to be, and stop bringing yourself back into it is essentially what I'm saying. It's like, if you and I had an argument, and we still said some things that were both unfavorable to both of us, just some mean things, and then I was like, you know what? I'm out of here. I'm done. I'm going somewhere else. I'm going to go make a new friend.
All right.
Right? So I go out, but on my way out, I make my new friend, and I see you, 2 days later, and I'm like, yo, I still hate you. Don't care.
Do what you got to do and keep it pushing.
Yeah, whatever. But it's like, you're no longer my problem. And that's the way the Steelers should be facing this whole thing. That's the way everybody in the Steelers organization should be facing it. It's like, Antonio Brown's talking his mess. Just keep it moving. Just whatever. Ignore the noise. See, that's the thing I think the Steelers need to do. Is New England does a good job of this. And they make a very good point of saying things like this in the offseason. They're like, this is what we do, blah, blah, blah. Ignoring the noise. Pittsburgh doesn't do that. Or at least they haven't historically.
No.
Something happens, something leaks. It blows up.
It blows up and they don't know how to handle it.
People get their feelings invested, and then it affects the way that the team runs. Because I told you, if I'm telling my kids in 15 years, when a lot of these guys are Hall of Famers, and I'm like, hey, there was once upon a time that Antonio Brown, one of the greatest receivers of all time, Le'Veon Bell, a really, really good receiver from when, you've seen the film, blah, blah, I'm showing my kids things. And Ben Roethlisberger, who will be a Hall of Famer, and all these other players were all on the same team. I'm like, wow, how many Super Bowls did they win? I go, 0. They're literally shot. The entire legacy that they have built upon is based on just media and just garbage. That's all it is. It's garbage. They could have been such a good team if they ignored the noise, but they played right into it. That's their ultimate downfall.
Every time.
So we're going to hit you back here in 20 seconds. We're going to talk a little bit about remaining free agents. Then we're going to start hitting all the basketball on the way out. So first half of the show, Dan.
Love it. Your new favorite station.
You like it, I love it. You like it, I love it. This is your man, Flo Rida.
All the hits. The New River Valley's hit station. RFR. Radio Free Radford.
Welcome back into the Radio Free Radford studio. Just want to quickly remind you guys to follow Radio Free Radford on social media. Twitter at Radio Free Raddy. Instagram and Facebook, Radio Free Radford. Also, be sure to check us out later on today here in Radford, Virginia, Tyler Avenue, Cold Stone Creamery. We're supposed to be out there playing some music. You come meet the face of the station. I'll be out there, hopefully, all things considered. And hopefully the weather is just kind enough to us that we can make this happen.
Right.
But hopefully we'll be out there. Hopefully nothing impacts the event, but we'll be looking forward to it. Come see us out there, spread some love and tell us how much you appreciate what we do. Because we love our fans. We appreciate you guys. So come on out. Excuse me. Let's touch a little bit of free agency here. My biggest question walking into this originally was, why isn't Ndamukong Suh still a free agent? And then I went on my way to research and see who was available. And I went through Sports Track. So sportstrack.com is essentially where I go to find, player contracts and top remaining free agents, just general information like that. But I opened up, I was like, okay, who's still available? I know Ndamukong Suh's going to be on the list, but just curious. Ndamukong Suh, Ezekiel Ansah is still on the market, Demaryius Thomas is still on the market, Jamie Collins, Timmy Jernigan, Eric Berry, and Michael Crabtree are all just a few names that are out there in free agency right now. The Lakers?
I'm sorry.
The Lakers are going to take Michael Crabtree. They need a power. Basketball half of the show. We got 22 minutes remaining on the hour. UVA national champions. You didn't see that one coming, did you? You thought we were talking about the NBA. UVA's national champions. I said, personally, I had picked Texas Tech to win the game, and it was a very exciting game. Texas Tech should have nothing to feel bad about, except for giving up 10 free throws in the overtime. Streaming a reaction. I streamed it with Nicholas Penninger on Facebook, actually. So I watched the game with him. DeAndre Hunter upped his draft stock with that game. DeAndre Hunter
pick.
was eating during that game, man.
Kyle Guy did too, but he ain't going nowhere.
Oh, Kyle Guy was the best player of the Final Four in general. Kyle Guy's good,
free
though.
throws.
Yeah, Kyle Guy's good, though. Bisabidi, they all had some pretty terrific games. Tony Bennett finally got a championship. Being the 1 seed for the past 5 years, I'm pretty sure. In general, finally got a championship. Storied pursuit after being the first 1 seed to lose to a 16 seed last year. That's always the caveat, though. Is the only way that I guess they could have answered that was by winning a national championship. So good for them, though. Congrats to UVA in the overtime championship win, and Auburn should have been there. So we're going to move on to the next topic.
Did you hear that?
We're back and better than ever. Radio Free Radford.
Ready? Realize what I'm about to say.
Playing what you want to hear. RFR.
I am Ellie Golding.
Hey everybody, this is Natalie Laro.
Hey, what's up? It's Brianna.
What up, y'all? This is Jeremiah.
Radford's new choice of music. RadioFreeRadford.com.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the last 15 minutes of the Rines Report here on Radio Free Radford for this week. After this, we got only a few more shows remaining, and then that's it. So, just remember me.
Why'd you do it like that?
Remember me when I'm gone. I like to think I've been here for a while. This has been 3.5 years of me doing this. So, moving on to bigger and better things. Not that I haven't appreciated being here, but just moving on to bigger things. Life happens. The NBA playoff bracket's set. All right.
Yeah.
Best of 7 games. I actually enjoy the NBA playoffs after the playoffs have ended. So no, I'm just kidding. No, I actually enjoy the NBA playoffs, but the first rounds always kind of feel like a wash.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like the Milwaukee Bucks and the Detroit Pistons. You know who's gonna win that series. Like the Pistons might give them a game, but the only chance they got is if Giannis Antetokounmpo doesn't have legs. And even then, he's probably still gonna dunk on you because the dude's lengthy as hell.
Yeah, his arms are reaching.
It's ridiculous. The Milwaukee. So I'm going to run through the Eastern Conference. In case you don't know what the bracket is quite yet, I'm going to run through the Eastern Conference for you. Number 1, Milwaukee Bucks versus the 8 Detroit Pistons in the first round. The Celtics and Pacers, 76ers, Brooklyn Nets, Toronto Raptors, Orlando Magic. I didn't even know the Magic were in the playoffs until I actually looked this up. They actually had a good season, I guess.
Yeah, they did.
I'm surprised. I'm so used to seeing the Wizards in there, but the Wizards are hot garbage. John
They're
Wall,
terrible.
man.
John
Wall's
he
getting
might not even
paid
play next year.
so much money to not play basketball. I love that about the NBA, though. The NFL, I think it's a big thing going into this next CBA, speaking of which. The NFL PA meetings is the players are going to want more guaranteed contract incentives. Because
more guaranteed money.
Yeah, dude, because it's a much more impactful sport. Anyway, so let's see here. Let's go through the Eastern Conference, essentially. So we got the Bucks in a wash over the Pistons. Who you got? Indiana Pacers and the Celtics, though.
I'm gonna take the Celtics.
Take the Celtics. All right. So then Philly and Toronto, Philly and Brooklyn in the next set. I think what's messed up is I would not be terrifyingly surprised if the Brooklyn Nets upset the Sixers in a 7-game series. D'Lo, I loved it. By the way, I love D'Angelo Russell. He's a beast. Don't look at me that. Why'd you eye roll? Why'd you eye roll, Terrence?
Next subject, we gonna keep.
Why? Because you upset that he's gone from the Lakers, or for other reasons, or are you like most of the internet? Because Swaggy P?
Nah, well, see that's the point. Like he had to leave, but I didn't know nobody. He was sucking it up.
Yeah, he wasn't that great. With the Lakers.
Whatsoever.
And then he's like the most improved player. He's probably gonna be most improved this year.
Siakam won that.
Huh? Siakam? That's possible, but dude. The Nets do not get to the playoffs without D'Angelo Russell.
No, most definitely.
I wouldn't be surprised if the Nets actually beat the 76ers, but I'll take the 76ers. They're a higher seed. They'll just take them in general. And then the Magic and the Raptors. It's going to be the Raptors. It's going to be Kawhi. It's going to be Lowry. That team's nice, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
They got Marc Gasol up there.
Right.
They got a good roster up there in Toronto. So then you got Milwaukee and Boston. That's interesting. If the Celtics somehow figure this whole thing out in time because of the playoffs, they should. Here's my thing. I don't think the Celtics are going to even get to the Eastern Conference Finals. I'm a Celtics fan, I'll tell you that. And the reason why I say that is for a couple reasons. They haven't seemed functional this entire season.
Correct.
The Bucks look really good.
Really good.
And the Celtics should have been the number 1 seed this year. Walking in this year, they should have been like a favorite, of course, to go to the finals.
They were.
They're a most stacked roster in the Eastern Conference, but I think that's the issue. And Nick Penninger, if you're a veteran listening to the show, you know who Nicholas Penninger is. Obviously, you two did a show together for a while there. He and I have talked about this a few times. He goes, the Celtics suffer from literally having too much talent. Mm-hmm. Because you have too many guys to rotate in and out. Somebody's not getting enough minutes. This guy's not getting enough minutes. Too many talented players. That's what I think that's the Celtics' downfall. Unfortunately, is having too many good players. Marcus Smart and Jaylen Brown coming off the bench. Are you kidding me? Any other roster, those guys are probably starters.
Oh, yeah.
Unless there's an all-star.
Most definitely.
So, I think the Bucks beat the Celtics in 7.
Yeah, most definitely 7 games. Kyrie's not going to go down easy.
No. I think Toronto beats Philly. And then it's going to be Milwaukee, Toronto. Then it's interesting. Do the Raptors or do the Bucks get to the finals?
I'm going with the Raptors.
You take the Raptors? Honestly?
Just because he can't shoot.
Ooh, Giannis? Yeah. Dude, imagine if Giannis developed a 3-point shot. And he was, like, decent.
My face is...
He'd be ridiculous.
Ridiculous.
He's already the hardest player to cover in basketball, probably, besides maybe Kevin Durant and LeBron James.
Yeah.
You're not going to stop him if he can shoot threes. What is he, 7 feet?
Basically.
Yeah. He'd be Kevin Durant, but more savage.
And
anyway.
Faster goodness gracious.
I think I will take the Toronto Raptors, though. They play better defense.
Mm-hmm.
I think historically speaking. I'm not exactly sure off the top of my head, but I'm pretty sure the Toronto Raptors will play better defense. I'll take the Raptors to go to the NBA Finals.
Yeah, me too.
And then I don't care who's playing in the Western Conference because the Warriors are going to go to the finals. I mean, it's Golden State versus the Clippers in the first round, Houston and Utah, Portland Trail Blazers, Oklahoma City Thunder. The Thunder are good. The Nuggets and the Spurs. The Nuggets are a 2 seed.
Yeah, they could lose to the Spurs.
They're pretty good, but they could still lose. I don't think Denver's going to go that far. I think it's going to be Houston and Golden State perennially who's going to be there. But Golden State's going to beat them in 6. That's going to be... I think Oklahoma City gets past the Trailblazers, and then they lose to the Warriors. Yeah, and then the Warriors beat them. They beat them, and then they go to the finals and then win it all. They beat the Raptors. They're too stacked.
I agree.
They're too freaking good, man. And then let's go to the last and final subject. Let's end the show on a somewhat kind of weird note, I guess. Dirk Nowitzki and Dwayne Wade retired.
Yeah, 2 great legends.
Legends, man. They're both pro basketball Hall of Famers, both champions, both Finals MVPs, and they both scored 30 in their final game.
Mm-hmm. Had a triple double.
Who?
Dwayne Wade.
Really? I didn't know he triple double. I know he scored 30 though.
Yeah, he had a triple double.
And then he intentionally fell on John Legend and Chrissy Teigen on the sideline.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, that was kind of funny.
Yeah, that was crazy. It was a good picture too. They like remade it so many times.
It's a meme.
Yeah,
it might as well be. It's fine with me. I think I've watched documentaries on Dirk Nowitzki. I've seen a lot of stuff from Dwayne Wade. Dwayne Wade was ridiculously like hyped up when I was growing up. He never won an MVP. I didn't know that. No. I was doing research. I always thought that he at least had one. It's crazy to me that Dwayne Wade never had an actual like regular season MVP. But then again, he was also playing like, side by side with LeBron, Kobe, Nowitzki when he won his MVP. Steve Nash.
Hey, Kobe got that year. Kobe, yeah.
He got that year?
Yeah, Kobe.
Let's not be mistaken here. Steve Nash was a beast of a talent. Kobe's great too. But Steve Nash is ridiculous. He's also a good soccer player. You see that?
Yeah.
Good for him.
I'll say RJ Barrett's godfather.
RJ Barrett? Really? I didn't know that.
It's crazy.
So wait, who do you think? We got a little bit of time left. We got 5 more minutes. Who do you think's gonna be? So who do you think's the best player outside of Zion going into the draft? Because Ja Morant is nasty, boy.
So I was about to say.
I think Ja will be successful in the NBA because
definitely.
he's like I feel like he's really driven.
Yeah, he can go.
I watched him play the first game against Marquette because he upset my bracket. Then he beat Marquette, and I was like, dude, this guy's the real deal.
Yeah, he's
triple double. Are you kidding me? if he had been on a better roster, apparently the only reason he played it, not the only reason, the reason he went to Murray State was that he felt that they liked him the most. He was like, he got some interest from other schools.
But they didn't give him the same
But
love.
they didn't give him the same kind of love that Murray State was giving him. He was like, I want to be the face of the program, blah, blah. Like, he's like, I don't want to go to a bigger program where I'm like the second guy. Or I might be the first guy, but it's not like that big a deal going to this level.
Murray State always has good players, too.
Yeah? Who else?
I can't think of anybody. Like,
You got if you're going to say they have good players, you got to come up with a backup.
If you could go look them up,
I'll pull
like
some
they
up.
have, like the players that has went to the NBA, I think they do pretty good. I couldn't think of one right now this time of moment, but as soon as you was to pull up and say their name.
Isaiah Kanan, Jeff Martin, Marcus Brown,
Isaiah
Eric
Kanan,
McCree.
Yeah, Isaiah Kanan and Eric McCree. Those two players have definitely been solid players in the NBA.
That's interesting. You know who doesn't have any NBA players? I don't think.
Who?
Radford.
No.
I don't think so. Yeah, there's not a single one. Radford players in the NBA. Let's see here. Basketball. No players found.
Nobody hasn't been that
We
good
gotta get
yet.
one, man.
We got to. That would be crazy.
We gotta get one. Do you think we got anybody on the roster right now, or that's about to graduate? But Light's pretty good. I'm pretty sure he got a contract overseas.
Yeah, most definitely.
Carly's pretty decent. Hit the shot. The shot here at Radford.
Yeah, the shot, big shot.
Not Carly's good people. I
Yeah.
played flag football with him.
Mhm.
He has ridiculous hops.
Hang time.
Carly's cool people. Good basketball player. I mean,
He was the quarterback.
that's right. I was quarterback. I at least played a little quarterback when I was in high school. It was a fun time. What else? We got like 2 more minutes if you want to cover anything else. You got anything else we're talking about? Or you're gonna step back on the Magic Johnson thing?
Man, I just don't understand why he. I mean, I understand why he did it, but it was just like another domino. Like it was just like the ending to like. It's the Lakers organization just sucks. It's just what it really boils.
We knew that. We knew that they sucked.
But
Whether
I'm saying,
you accepted it or not.
Yeah, but no, I'm saying like the front, like the owner Genie Bus needs to. At this rate, how bad it has been, and I love the Bus family from Dr. Bus to Genie to Jerry, like all of them.
Yeah.
But it's coming down to the moment. It's just like it's something to the fact that I would like you should just sell the team.
Wow. You're like that Knicks fan who got kicked out of MSG.
Like I wouldn't like
for
I mean,
harassing the owner and
I'm
going,
not gonna
sell the team.
No, I'm
He's
not
like,
gonna
"You're
say it. I'm not. It's that's how bad it has been because it just seems like she's just. It just seems like it's just lost right now.
What happens though?
But
You go through states sometimes.
But the thing is,
of not being as good as you could.
the Lakers has never.
Oh no! Like this is the first time in franchise history where they missed the playoffs. Not
Ever.
the first time. They
Ever.
had a total of 5 missed seasons of missed playoff appearances in franchise history before the last 6 years. And the last 6 years they missed.
That's what I'm saying. Like it hasn't happened until recently these last 6 years. So the Lakers has been playing basketball for.
Yeah, it's just been a weird transitional period for them though. Like they draft guys and then it's like, I don't really work out. This coach didn't work out. Like as soon as they lost Phil and Kobe, in their prime.
And as soon as they lost Phil, it was over.
Yeah.
And then when Kobe got hurt, it was. If Kobe would have never got hurt, we would have been good.
So do you think Magic or Phil are worse? Who's the worst GM though? Like in that position of like getting players, acquiring talent. Like who do you think's worse? Because at least Magic got LeBron.
I mean, Phil was the head
With
coach.
the Knicks.
With the Knicks.
If you gotta go by the numbers, I'd say Magic just because he got one good player.
I mean,
But
Phil did draft Porzingis.
He drafted Porzingis, but I don't know. But do you think Porzingis at any point in his career so far has been better than LeBron? Absolutely not.
I mean, no. Okay.
No, absolutely not.
I'll give you that.
But that's going to round out our show here on RadioFreeRadford.com. Thank you guys so much for tuning in and joining us here in the Radio Free Radford studio. We'll be back
Appreciate y'all.
next Friday at 11 a.m. Make sure to tune in to Terrence's show at 11 a.m. on this Monday. Recap you with the weekend, cover a little bit of the stuff we talked about here today. So, Take it easy, guys. Have a lovely and safe weekend. And like us on Facebook at The Rines Report. Take it easy, guys.